Kia ora, and welcome to the Parents Online Junior Football Workshop. Today we're joined with Scott Lewis, the Coach Education Officer for the community, who will be talking us through this presentation.
Cool. So yeah, just for the next 10 minutes, we're just going to look to understand how we can meet the needs of young people in our game and create a positive experience. And we also want to have a look at understanding the difference between a climate of development and a climate of performance. Ultimately, we know that if we have great experiences in the junior space, we're more likely to be involved for the game, in the game for a lifelong journey. And that certainly starts within the junior framework. We often ask this question, why do kids play football and why do kids play sport? And a bit of research done from Simon Walters out of the Auckland University of Technology found the top 5 reasons there to have fun, play with mates, learn new skills, be fit and healthy, and have a sense of fair play is the top 5 reasons why kids play. And when we look at football, there's a clear correlation between those two pieces of research. Fun and enjoyment are definitely the main reasons why kids play. And if we, scope a bit deeper, we can find the things that kids actually like most about playing football. And there's a lot to do with football actions, obviously scoring goals, running, tackling, kicking the ball, all things related to core skills is actually the most enjoyable part about football. So we can take this, it's about actually playing the game for kids. Just to highlight there that winning, it can be important for kids and that it's always existent within the game. But it should be noted that certainly our attitudes and behaviours shouldn't be emphasising winning at all costs. We understand in the junior framework it's a lot about development of core skills and the love of the game. And we want to be emphasising these other reasons about football more so than winning. To understand a little bit more around why kids actually stop playing our game, well, it becomes not fun for kids anymore. Somewhere along the line, they've lost the ownership of the experience, and they become afraid to make mistakes. And this is certainly apparent when the result becomes more of a focus as kids transition through the ages. And if we understand what optimal learning environments look like, we should know that it is about making it fun and giving the learner lots of opportunities to make mistakes, but also lead their own learning experience. And we definitely want to keep these elements apparent within the junior framework. So important for us to remember that it's about the kids and we should be letting them play, make mistakes, and learn in their own time. If we have a look at membership rates in our reality in the game, we can see that there's a consistent drop-off as kids progress from the junior space into the youth space. And this can be done to a number of reasons, but certainly our argument would be that if we provide a quality experience in the junior framework and we really enable kids to develop those core skills and a love of the game, well, we can hopefully attract them and retain them in our great game to keep them playing throughout the youth framework. And ultimately, if we have a stronger foundation that can help us reach our goals in the higher performance phases of the game as well. Just important to consider around when we do look at players, we need to be mindful of what's beneath the surface, particularly kids in the junior space and the youth space. There's a range in regards to development ages. Kids develop at different rates, puberty, maturation are all factors, but also mental states. And if we look at the 4 corners, physical, technical, mental, and social, kids are likely to be at different stages of development. So it's important for us to not only see what's happening on the field, the performance element, but also look beneath. And a reminder for us, parents and coaches, to be patient with our players because it takes time and it is a journey. And as long as they're having great experiences in that junior space, then they're more likely to continue on and reach their full potential in the game. Just want to talk to the previous point around ensuring that we have a wide base of players in our junior framework. And the reason that's so important, as kids progress through the formats of the games, obviously a wider squad's needed. And ultimately, we need a larger player base to draw from players as they progress up to the performance phase, if they wish to go that path. So, yeah, as coaches and as clubs and as parents, how can we create an environment where everyone gets an opportunity, more players getting equal opportunities and getting the best developmental experience, so we ultimately have better players for the future and more players for the future, to help reduce that natural drop-off that we have in our game. Just want to handball over to Mark to talk to some of the cool things that we've been doing at NRF.
Yeah, thanks, Scotty. Look, in terms of opportunity for all, one of the biggest things that's or biggest changes in the recent times has come from guidance from New Zealand Football and Sport New Zealand, aligning with balance is better, etc. We are moving away from traditional tournaments. Tournaments have been held. Often it's only the top few divisions or top 5% of junior players that get to experience these tournaments. There's one overall winner, and the focus is on winning, and it's sending the wrong message to coaches and parents around that in that junior football space. So the shift to festivals is an opportunity for all kids to participate. The focus is on equal playing time. It's not about winning. There's no results recorded. There's not one overall winner. The focus is actually on fun, on connecting the community through football, and it's a place where coaches and teams can focus on developing over multiple games, and that's a really cool opportunity. Now, an example of what good looks like is Northland. What's happening in Northland is in the junior football season, as part of their season, all junior players experience a festival at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the season. So now, that rather than a 18-week season of one game every Saturday, the football experience for those junior players in the far north and Northland is they get to experience a festival, some games, another festival, some more games, and then a festival to finish it off. So, it's a really cool way to actively change the experience in that junior pathway. And yeah, something we're aiming for in Auckland, to definitely get to that space. So that's point one there, the festivals concept. And then we'll basically talk to the systems and structures we've had in place over the last few years. The first one is the banding system. Not only does it help clubs to place their teams appropriately, it also gives age-based stages to the mini football pathway. So mini football being under 9s to under 12s. The first 2 years, under 9s and under 10s, is 7v7. And as part of the banding system, we basically make sure that those kids are playing within their sub-region. So as you progress from in-house football, under 4s to under 8s, then you start to travel a little bit wider in that 9s and 10s age group, where you can play clubs in your local area. And then as we progress to under 11s and under 12s, which is 9v9, teams can start to experience some wider travel, and they'll be paired with another region. So North Harbour and Waitakere join up, and South Auckland and Central Auckland join up. So it provides a wider range of travel, but it also meets the needs of children or junior teams to find that active challenge point. Now, linking into the fluid grading system, and that speaks to the challenge point I've just mentioned. So we acknowledge that there's junior football teams will grow and improve throughout the season. There might be changes, players in, players out, etc. which impact a junior team. So the fluidity of grading just means that we can move teams up and down divisions at any stage. There's no set grading times of, win your first 4 weeks, etc. It gives us the ability to move teams based on their challenge point. All right. So what this means is usually would prefer clubs to come up or to contact the federation and say, hey, look, we don't think this team's in the right place. Could you have a look at them, etc. So they could either be doing too well in the division or they could be doing not so well in the division. So the fluid grading system just means we can move teams at any stage. Usually we wouldn't do this over the first few weeks of the season, as it's an unfair representation of the division, but we do have set times throughout the years where we will review all divisions and make changes for clubs who haven't quite come forward in that space. Linking into point 4 around the game day guidance document, we'll realize it's a space which needs some support for community and volunteer coaches to manage that game day experience and make sure that both teams are having a really good time. So the game day guidance document gives support and steps for coaches, not only at the beginning of the game, so just talking to the opposition coach and the referee, discussing how you'll manage any potential sideline behavior, discussing the retreating line, etc. And then moving into in-game support. So are you asking the right questions? If the game is becoming lopsided, what changes can you make, or what can you do as a coach to even it out, etc. And then there's also questions or advice for what to do after the game. So questions to ask your team, questions to ask your players, etc. So it's a document which not only is there to manage the game day experience, but it's also to support volunteer junior coaches in that space. Lastly is just the educational opportunity. So NRF has, this is the third, but the NRF has 3 online videos or workshops on the junior homepage of the website, one for coaching, one for refereeing, and one for parents. Additionally, there's additional courses being intro to junior coaching, junior level 1, junior level 2, junior level 3, etc. Now, these are all coaching courses run by Northern Region Football for clubs. If anyone's looking to, grow and develop in this space and continue on their pathway in that coaching space as well. So there are things out there and in place to, I guess, safeguard and improve the junior football experience. That's where we're trying to get to for future years, to really make sure we widen that base and get as many kids playing and having a really positive experience on those game days.
Cool. Yeah, certainly lots of resources to help us. And another one here, some of us might have seen this before, but this is the Good Sports Spine, obviously linked to the Good Sports philosophy, underpinned by the Balance is Better movement in Sport New Zealand. And certainly a great tool for us as parents, coaches, to really assess our attitudes and behaviors in the context of sport. The way to read it is if we think about the 5 key needs of athlete development down the middle, and we can read it as a sort of a spectrum, with one side being the climate of performance and one side being the climate of development. And the way to sort of navigate it is to ask yourself where my attitudes and behaviors lie. And this is a great reflective tool for coaches and parents to really ask yourself those tough questions, and where we should be operating, according to the research, is more so linked to that climate of development. And the research would suggest why there's lots of benefits, including intrinsic motivation, a greater chance of enjoyment, and a greater chance that kids will actually stay involved with sport for longer and develop a wider range of skills without getting injured. So important for us to recognize the Good Sports Spine and really use those tools and resources out there for us. Another space, another interesting space is the car ride home. And if we think about a traditional car ride home, often as parents and coaches, we can be guilty of doubting players' efforts, stating the obvious, and highlighting worst case scenarios. But in reality, we want to use that space to let the child initiate conversation, and let them lead the conversation, and just something as simple as us saying, you know what, I really enjoyed watching you play today. And that can be all we really need to say. But if your child does love a chat, there's a little acronym that we can use to help guide our conversations called the MILK acronym. And what it stands for is to just help guide your conversation and questions. The M stands for memory, where you can ask, what was your favorite memory from the game? The I stands for improve, where you could ask, what's something you improved on in the game? L stands for learn, what's something you learnt from the game? And C for continue, what's something you'll continue for next week? And if we use the acronym to sort of structure our questioning, we can obviously see that link there to the climate of development, and letting the child take ownership, and hopefully empowering the child to sort of take care of their own development in relation to core skills and having fun. Cool. Hopefully this workshop's been insightful. Few tools and resources there to sort of help our thinking and how we should behave on the sideline, and how we can support our child's experience in our great game. And ultimately, we're part of it. We have a responsibility as parents, as coaches, to keep players in our game, to keep them striving to reach their goals in the game, and to keep them developing and on that pathway. Thanks very much for jumping on board. We hope it's been insightful, and we look forward to connecting again on future educational opportunities.
Yeah, just if you're interested in looking at any further information regarding the stuff we've just talked about, it'll be on the junior homepage of the NRF website. Or if you're further looking into coaching education courses, they'll be in the coaching tab of the NRF website as well. So thanks again, appreciate your time. Ka kite.